All right, welcome back to the BigCheese AI podcast. I'm your host today. My name is Sean. I'm here with Jacob Wise.
Yo.
We've got Brandon Corbin as well, and we dropped the iPad. Well, what's new?
Welcome, everybody. It's a fine, well-oiled machine, right?
We are a well-oiled. Well,
I'm well
not
oiled.
baby oiled. I can guarantee you that, not baby oiled.
Oh my God, have you guys watched any of that?
No, I don't want to know.
Oh,
Please
so
don't
bad.
tell me about it.
We won't talk about it.
Wait, there's a new thing? I thought the gorillas. We're not still doing the gorillas?
No, so this is the Diddy. So the Diddy trial's happening now, and the videos are coming out, and it is wild. I mean, like his one girlfriend that he was like throwing around a hotel like lobby thing, you know, chasing after her. I mean, it's
Bad person alert.
Okay, moving. Yeah.
We got to move on from that quickly.
Didn't even know about this, but okay.
But we are, in fact, back. It's been 3 weeks. Sorry for the delay, folks. And, you know, today we're here to talk about, I want to know about, I'm kind of cheating for the test. I've got a talk in June about the future of AI. It's called AI and the Next Steps. What are the next steps? You know, we've spent a lot of time talking about, you know, where things are at, all the new tools. And I want to get into some of that because some of us, you know, it may be confidential, may not be, but we are onto some stuff with our teams and some of the stuff we're working on. We can talk about that as well. You know, people ask me, they ask me all the time. Everybody's always asking me. You know, I was on a call with some really, really smart investor types from Morgan Stanley. And they were asking me about like, what's next? You know, and I was like, well, let me tell you about MCP servers. It got me thinking, and I was like, you know, what would I talk about? And so I wanted to start with this tweet. Okay, we got this tweet from Sam Altman, and he was talking about the different generations and how they use ChatGPT. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was great.
Okay.
That was a great post.
Right. So like what he basically says that older users treat ChatGPT like Google.
Yep.
Right. Which is like,
How do I bake a piece of bread?
Right. Yeah. I remember I was in I think it was a board meeting. It was a board meeting when ChatGPT first came out, and the board of directors of a very prominent company, they were all sitting around, and the first thing they did is they all just Googled themselves,
Of course.
on ChatGPT.
Yep.
And some of them it was early, and some of them were known, some weren't. But that lines up, but it comes all the way down to how millennials use it, which is maybe more like an advisor. You know, like it's getting to know you, like we talked about in our last podcast. But I think and this is where we get into the future conversation, which is how college kids and younger kids are treating ChatGPT, and it light bulbed for me. It's an operating system.
All right. So what's funny is that's kind of like where Aaron with prompt privacy was taking it. He called it the AI operating system, or whatever the term was that he kind of leaned into. But it's like and the same thing kicked off a whole bunch of things in my head too. I'm like, oh my gosh, like right now you can go and you could actually like treat ChatGPT like a terminal. So you can go in, you can be like, LS this, and it'll be like, it's empty. And then you can be like, you know, a nano or cat this and do this. And it'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to pretend. They can basically, like, that chat thread can pretend to be an operating system, right? And so it's like, where does it actually go? Like, do we eventually have it just fully integrated at complete operating system level? The MCPs kind of allow us to kind of get to that point even right now, where I could just be like, hey, go create those files, go do this project, do that. That part I'm actually really excited with. So I had that same kind of reaction when I heard him say it too at that level. Because when Aaron was saying it, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense from an enterprise standpoint. But now we're starting to see it just even from the consumer side.
Yeah, and I think also this thing we've been discussing is like standardization of like, if as like LLMs take more and more chunk, and like it makes more sense to be integrated at the operating system level, like Macs. What is that? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. But it's like a new OS overlay on top of Mac to like help you manage a lot of different things like tasks and things like that, right?
Is it the man like I can't think of what the name of it is right now, but it's like something with man in it, like Manus, MANUS.
That might be a similar one, but the idea is basically like some overlay. It's like the Spotlight, the default Spotlight. Then they had that one that was like the special one, right?
Right.
Because it sucked for a while.
Raycast?
Yes, Raycast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Raycast just came out with a whole new thing.
Did they?
Oh, yeah.
AI.
Oh, shit. So I'm a huge Raycast fan. I've been using Raycast since like before. I think it was maybe Butler. I think Butler was one like before Raycast came out. Then Raycast just like took it to a whole different level.
Can you talk about Ray? Because I just downloaded it and
Okay.
like I'm always like, oh, I'll go get the thing, but then I haven't used it quite yet.
Okay, so Raycast, I think what's so funny about when like software comes out and starts getting really popular, like you have to kind of know where it originated from, right? And literally, Raycast was Q Launcher. Like back in the day, we just hated having to go and try to find your applications that you had to launch, right? So it literally was just a launcher originally, and you could just command space. Replace your spotlight and just search for your application and launch it. Then they're like, oh, well, I could do X and I could do this. And now, like with Raycast, you can do like friggin' you were able to do a ton of stuff. Now it sounds like they're also incorporating a lot of the AI things into it. So that's going to be killer. But you can launch, you can configure, like you can do Google searches just from this terminal. So you have one command palette that allows you to basically go and do and kick off workflows and just go nuts with it. So it's a productivity tool to like the 10th degree now.
Yeah, and I'm not. Yeah, I mean, it looked really interesting, but it reminded me of like where all this is probably going to be going, which is we've been talking about this for a long time of like the user interface paradigm is shifting. Like natural language is if you can use it and leverage it, it's a great tool to like interface with things, right? But it just isn't really good enough, and it doesn't have the context to enough things and systems that you have. So along come MCPs and agent to agent models and like all the stuff to like help integrate these things. And we're in such an early stage of that it's like you're starting to see what's possible, but like none of it's really meeting the expectation quite yet. But I'm excited for it. I mean,
so I had one thing with these MCPs that, and I posted this on LinkedIn, and I kind of got skewered because I didn't describe it very well. But my whole concept is I think that there's a huge market for basically teaching executives, teaching all of these non-technical people to leverage Cursor as kind of your second brain, right? Markdown files. You're just basically using it kind of like a Notion, but you also have all of your MCPs that are integrated with it. You could be interacting with your to-dos, like your entire projects could be there. You could have all sorts of crazy things going on just within this like knowledge bank. No code at all. It's just markdown files or whatever.
That's what I'm seeing. People use Claude Desktop for.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You had already been challenged enough on that, but I was gonna ask like, why not Claude Desktop? Is this because you're more comfortable in
but does Claude Desktop, like with Claude Desktop, it's you could say, hey, go work in this file, go work in this folder or whatever. But think about like Notion. Notion is where you go, every folder, where your things are. Why can't I just have those as all I mean, someone's going to do it with probably Obsidian first. Like Obsidian is kind of that like Notion-esque application, but it's all running. It's just using your iCloud, directory structure or whatever. But I think that's where, like, when you start having the AIs, you can connect these MCPs and you can do all this stuff. Now it's like, hey, go run the MCP about Stripe and tell me what my sales have been for this week, and go write that into the sales report that I've got, in my thing. Right?
I agree. But I will disagree that it will never happen in Cursor because businesses work in Microsoft and they work in Google.
Well, this gets to the point that I'm trying to make with this Sam Altman thing. So center it back. Older folks are Googling themselves. People our age are using it as an advisor. The new generation it's their operating system.
Right.
Okay. Literally. So, and that doesn't mean ChatGPT is necessarily their operating system. Altman is obviously talking about his own product, but the way that they'll even think about how computers work are fundamentally different forever. But there's a problem here. And the problem is that the older generations, even starting with people like us, their brains are wired a certain way. And the way that they do work is a certain way. I need to go to this window and I need to do this work here. And I need to go sign into this other application over here. And then I need to copy and paste this image into this email that I'm doing. That's how their brains are wired.
Right.
And the future, none of that shit's going to exist. And in fact, the user interface is going to matter very little in the future.
Right.
At all. Like it's the only interface optimization that's going to be going on is the interfaces between systems, and that's their APIs and their documentation and their MCP servers or whatever. But I'm worried. I'm worried about the fact that there's going to be such a paradigm shift that people are going to be totally like unable to to make that change or make that connection. And what I mean isn't necessarily from an individual productivity perspective, but I'm talking about companies, right? Like companies that are run by people that are like this, they're not going to see these opportunities And maybe what they end up
Right.
doing is going and buying like Palantir or some huge enterprise system that solves it for you, right? But they're missing the boat. And so somebody's got to like show people how in the future there is one hub that's connecting everywhere, and then you're just orchestrating it like Minority Report.
Well, yeah, I think we've probably mentioned this, but Salesforce was a great system, may still be for a lot of use cases. But you have all these people who implement Salesforce because it's too complicated. The problem isn't Salesforce. The problem is business processes and molding them and shaping them and making them work within the Salesforce ecosystem, right? So you have all these implementation engineers that's what they do, right? I think you're right. Like there'll be people who, I mean, we already see that. We already see people who are like selling themselves as like AI implementation people, but at the end of the day, like they're business process people who know how to use
exactly
the AI
yeah
tools.
AI is just another way to put it into the business process.
And I think it's like, it's not okay. So like I remember when we went to the AI workshop. And that did not cover up that sound at all. Everyone knows you just popped a White Claw. I think that the people were missing the point. And I think that, sure, Zapier is a good tool. That Lindy thing is fine.
Right.
I'm going to go set up my workflow. Okay. I'm almost to the point where you don't have to set up the workflow. You just go and you say, this is what I want, and it just does it.
So I actually had a little project today or this week that is kind of related to that, but I ended up having to use Power Automate. Microsoft's Power Automate.
Of course you did.
Yeah. So and to work in this company's thing, I have to go through like a virtual network. I go through a VPN and then I connect to another thing. It's just this horrible experience. But anyway, Power Automate does have the ability for you to go in and be like, hey, here's what I want to have happen. And so I tell it exactly what I want to have happen. And it kind of worked. It worked enough for me to go, oh, I see that I can use this, this, and this, but it never actually worked. Like it never actually was able to connect all of it, but it showed me enough to be able to go and piece it together. And so I think that, all of these companies, so I've been saying for a long time that the best user experience is no user experience, except for, I think eventually when everybody's headed down that path, right? There's going to be, this might be more of a philosophical kind of thing where you're going to kind of crave it a little bit. Like you're still going to want to because one of the things I've been working on is I was like, well, hell, if you're generating all these images and all this artwork, well, let me just do it for you and I'll just send it to you every Monday. I'll send you 20 new every day. I'll send you 20 new, completely new designs that you can just look through. And he's like, that'd be great. Until he got them. And then he's like, well, I kind of want to play around with the fucking prompts. And I'm like, no, I get it. Like, I get that you want to play around with the prompts. However, you don't understand how complicated these prompts actually are. You would never be able to
You can't do it.
You can't write these, right?
Well, and okay, well then that's the other thing that I'm talking about, which is there's such a skill that's being developed here. Okay, case in point, there's one person that I follow on LinkedIn that was shitting on AI development 3 months ago. Oh, it doesn't work. And then next thing, it's 3 months later, same person. I'm beginning to like this cursor thing.
Yeah.
I'm doing good with this. Or you put the rules in the right places and oh, welcome to the party, pal.
Right.
And what's happening though is the people, this stuff's going to advance so fast, and people that aren't getting in there and using it as an operating system are falling behind.
Yeah.
And when I mean operating system, I mean I shouldn't have to go create a cursor fucking rules file.
I know.
Right? I shouldn't. It should latch onto my product requirements, my PRD that my team created, my Figma, boom, MCP'd into cursor. All I'm referencing these external data sources, right? That are unique to my company, and I can compose them at will.
Right. I think we get there.
Yeah, and I think it should lend people to be more disciplined. Today, so just how I used AI this morning. I'm on a call with all the developers, and like I go through and I show them. I'm recording the call on Google Meet, and I'm
Which, by the way, the Gemini integration into Google Meet has changed everything for us.
Did you guys have to enable that within your teams? Like,
I think I did at some point.
Mine's not. I can't do it on my iPhone.
Dude,
anymore.
it generates amazing meeting notes.
I need to do
pops it into Google Drive, emails it to you right after it's over. It's not one of those hobnob.io tools that's fucking fuck you.
Yeah,
it's in my workspace.
Exactly.
So I go and I show every developer how like this process of how we're going to create blocks within this project and like the workflow and how to do it within the CMS and they're all, I'm like, I'll send you the recording afterwards and I'll attach it to the notes and I'll make a little write up. And Jake was just like, why don't you just see if we can get the commit history? Because I'm doing it's doing it in two places, in the CMS and then in the actual code. So I was like, hey, cursor, read my commit history, and then change the README to add instructions on how to add a component to the project. Did that, and then I copied my notes from my Google Doc. That was like how I did it in the CMS. I was like, now add these for like the CMS portion of it. I was like, holy shit.
So you had the Git. Did you have the Git MCP?
Yes. Yep. Sorry.
I didn't want him to see me do this.
Yeah. So anyway, like the point is like the more, and Sean and I talk about this all the time, is like change is hard because we're busy. We want to focus on doing our work. And when you give someone a new tool, they might be interested initially, but unless that tool makes an immediate impact on their day-to-day life, it makes them more efficient, they're going to say, cool, that was fun, but I have to get some shit done, right? So
those are the people that need it the most.
Yep. Well, and it's we notice this. We're doers and we're busy all the time. It's one of the hardest things to do is to set time aside to think about, okay, how can I actually be more efficient? Right. Because when you're trying to be more efficient, it might take you 40 hours to start to save 45 minutes on every hour task or whatever. But like, you don't know that until you get to the 40th hour or whatever. You know, it's like, it's hard to stay disciplined. You have to have this constant balance of like, well, I have to get shit done now, but I also have to be mindful of like what's new, what's actually beneficial, what's actually helping. Right. And I think that things are changing at such a monumental speed that one, people are probably already burnt out. I mean, they've always been burnt out, but like now more than ever. Right. So anyway, just to give a little bit of grace to people who are like slow to
yeah, I mean, I'm down on laggards right now. I think it's unbelievable to me. I've been disappointed in a professional setting, putting new innovative, literally being asked by VCs on a call yesterday to say, how do we get the market in Indianapolis to catch up? Because they're not. Mm-hmm. They aren't. Sorry, you're behind. Your .NET framework in your manual code writing is a dinosaur. Sorry.
Yeah.
Get with the times. Go install Claude Code and have it build your entire.
I mean, if Indiana is actually really interested in that, then they should be investing in it, like and investing and whatever that means.
And they're doing the fucking opposite.
Right.
They're taking the money away.
Exactly. So that's fine. You guys want to have people that are going to be progressive and whatnot. But the fact is you need to invest in it. You need to be able to offer resources to these companies who don't have the people. Like Farm Bureau, again, they're an old company. They've been around Indiana for 100 years, but they do have a lot of champions inside there who are like pushing for aggressive adoption of advanced technology. Most companies don't have that here.
No,
and so
they don't.
How do you get that? And what do you do? So like,
yeah. Well, so we're Sean and we're all doing this vibe coding competition, and I was pretty disappointed because I put it out there into the developer community, and didn't get like a roaring response. Like I think people were just questioning like one, like why are you? It's vibe coding competition. So one, it's like a very new term, but like people were like, oh, do you have to use AI? And I'm like, well, I think you'd be faster if you did. And
the
then,
fact that question is asked is so
and then someone like made a comment.
I will dog walk you, bro.
Well, here's the thing. Like
I will school you. You will lose.
Right.
Okay, hold on. Here's the thing. These are people who are very, very smart. They are at the top of their discipline of software development. And I'm sure they are bombarded with, can you do it faster? And, but they're still asked to do it in a way that's like production ready to scale to billions of people. Now, yes, there's that. They're in the weeds. Then there's the people like us who are like, we're paid to prototype. We're paid to like get ideas out and iterate fast. And we understand the value of this, right? But there's a happy middle ground of like, it is disappointing when people push back so immediately. But I'm like, well, we didn't say we needed this to meet these requirements. We're saying we're trying to iterate fast.
It's the same thing that I've been dealing with for 10 years, which is I did not realize that the competitive advantage of our company was going to be the fact that we implement technology based off what's going on in Silicon Valley, not what's going on in Indianapolis. Right. Sorry.
Well, and you do it faster.
Right. I mean, but I don't understand the laggards. Who wants to work all day?
Right.
I mean, who wants to get shit done slower?
Well, I think part of the laggards argument is like their job is risk management. Like they're still ultimately holding the bag.
Right. Manage your risk.
So
you can review a function that's been written by AI.
Exactly. So that's the thing is like, and that's where I think the term vibe coding we haven't done it necessarily
No,
a,
you're
a
right.
service
It's
because
it's a marketing problem.
Exactly. It's we're not talking that 100% AI coded applications, right? That's what everybody and I've done it. Like I was like, I'm going to 100% vibe code this damn thing.
We backtracked on that.
Exactly. You have to. Like you have I think you have to go down that path and be like, I'm going to build, and I do. Paperkeeper is in the App Store. It was 95% vibe coded. It was a nightmare. Like I will never do a vibe coding project like I did with that. So now every time it's much more where I'm just doing AI inspired development or whatever we're going to call this kind of new term, where you're setting up your ground rules, you're setting everything up, and you're like, okay, AI, now go do this for me, right? Versus being like, hey, go build me this whole thing. It's going to be like, you know. So
yeah, it makes too many assumptions when you do that.
Oh, 100%.
And like you know, yeah. But like it still goes down to or back to like your fundamentals of have you thought through the problem to its completion, right? Like, do you have, if you, like Sean's saying, if you had a document that has all the specs and did all the hard work that you typically don't do in the beginning because maybe you don't have all the answers yet, or you're like, hardly ever are you given a business problem that is fully thought out and completely spec.
But that's okay. So that's why I shared with you guys the ChatGPT conversation I had. That's why I think I want to suggest the change to the competition to you guys. I think we should tell them what the genre of what they could build, right?
I agree.
And they can bring their prompts and their requirements, but they just can't press go on the engine until it starts.
Yeah, that might be interesting.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to obviously withhold something enough.
Yes. So I'm wondering if you could do it where I have 4 different potential areas. Okay. Four different potential challenges, and you pick one out of a hat. But they'll know what the 4, like I talked to ChatGPT about this today. They were like, engage, do it in 4 categories or 4 potential options. So there's the community impact.
Yep.
So develop a solution addressing a local community issue.
Right.
AI for daily life. Create a tool that assists with daily tasks like meal planning, budgeting, or time management. Mm-hmm. Gamify a learning challenge. Design an educational game or platform that makes learning new skills fun. And sustainability solutions. Build an app that promotes eco-friendly habits. Oh. But if you threw that out there, like we will have, these are the 4 things that you could potentially build. You can prepare all you want, but at the end of the day, one of these topics is going to get pulled out of a hat.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of that I can pick from one of the 4.
So, okay, that I like that too. Do you think that that's too much context to give before the competition? Or do you say, here's the 4 possible, and then maybe a month before you pick? Or like,
I just don't know if you're going to be able to stop. Like the hard part
they're going to write the fucking code before they get there, and that's what I don't want.
When you have $10,000 at hand, then somebody probably comes a little bit more prepared for it. So,
but if you give them 4 things, there's no way they're going to prepare for 4.
No. No, that's okay. So that is it. Okay, so that's how we have to do it. Is that you basically say, yeah, here's the 4 things that it might be. We're gonna randomly pick one, and then that's what you're gonna build. Then there's no way they could kind of emotionally and mentally prepare for all 4. Right. And then once it's actually picked, they would then be
that's
like,
what I think we should do.
Lean into.
That's what I think we should do.
Yeah, yeah. I think that works.
Yeah, and it gives people an idea of what they might have, what might happen.
Yeah, because then they can be like, oh, all right, we're going here. We know we've already done the work. So
and I'm okay if they bring their prompts. Mm-hmm. Anyways, okay. So back to the future. Okay.
Right.
All right. So I think we've established in the last couple podcasts that there's a language and a protocol that's being developed, not a language, but a protocol that's being developed for platforms, big platforms, to talk to each other, with LLMs being the interface to start those conversations, and MCP servers are being the ones that are making it easy to do things. So you don't have to leave.
Right.
The idea that you proposed many times. Right. I don't want to leave the conversation.
Yep.
I don't want to go click out to Supabase to set up the database. I just want it to know. I want it to do that. I want it to be latched on the API. The concept of go-to-market for SaaS companies is effectively changed forever. And I think the future is AI, what I'm calling, and I don't think this is what I'm calling it. This is an AI first go-to-market strategy.
Okay.
So no longer is it about, I need to optimize my website for a human to search on Google to find my problem for my solution. Almost all of the new SaaS products, in my opinion, if done right, there's a way bigger market for you to create new relationships with new customers by optimizing your app and your ecosystem for AI tools to discover and find and integrate with you. Because at the end of the day, AI, for example, Cursor, if you're trying to build a connection to a Postgres database, if you're trying to build a real-time communications chat system, if you're trying to build, a data visualization library or something like that, something more front-endy, the tools like Cursor are learning in the background of what people are having success with, right? They're able to search the internet. They're able to search. There's obviously a volume thing where it's like, critical, like they're going to use tools that people know, like Lovable uses a specific tech stack, right? But I think that there's an opportunity for new players to optimize and market to AI companies to say, hey, dude, your AI loves my tool,
Right.
which means your API is your product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what you saw to your example of Supabase has gotten way ahead of that curve. They realized early on, they were like, hey, well, and this is not a new strategy, and it's just a new application of it, right? We talked about this of like, how do you get, if you're building the Zapier model or whatever, it's like, okay, if I'm gonna build a new product, well, I probably need to have a Zap that it integrates, and I can get data from here to here. That way, you can lower the barrier to entry of like, you're trying to sell a specialized tool. So in the past, it was always the monolithic tool set, the Microsofts of the world that were like, we have every tool under the sun. But this tool's not that great. This Slack's actually better than Teams, but you'll use Teams because it's already in there. Maybe a bad example, but you get the point. But then the specialized tools are like, well, we're better. And using, even if it doesn't work, they have this like connector, which we all know connectors can be a pain in the ass. But like, we have this connector that will make your life so easy, and you can use my tool within your other tool.
Right.
And what is that? I love a good tool. I love a good add-on. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and think about simple things like Cursor. They don't even know what they have yet. I think they just hit 300 million ARR. I mean, I have to update my fucking slides every day.
Literally.
This dude is killing it.
Yeah.
Okay. They're killing it.
All right.
But you look at it and you go, think about the moat that Cursor's probably actually building, because they could be.
It could be.
Because they should be collecting the data on what we're doing and what problems we're trying to solve, and figuring out what is solving in the best way.
Yes.
It's token optimization, it's resource utilization, it's customer happiness. And I think that what they can potentially also do is share that data with people that will pay handsomely.
Oh, sure. Right.
Between them and Google, they probably have like a whole like library of information on context utilization, because like you're always trying to strike this balance of how much context do I save? Because that obviously costs tokens, and like what's important to save? What's the way to save it? They've been through these iterations, and like that's kind of fun to see like the outcome of all this research and all these tools that people have built.
So one of the things though that's I think is kind of interesting about MCPs, and I'm not sure exactly where this all unfolds, is that so many of the MCPs are specific to what's running on your computer. Right. So you might have an MCP that's the Git one, I believe, is actually using like the Git command line. And, a lot of them are using NPX, a lot of them. So they have to have local resources. So that's why you see it within the Claude desktop. You see it within, I think I just saw a video about how you can enable it now within the Google or within the ChatGPT desktop as well. But there's going to be this weird learning curve, because like you wouldn't be able to set up a MCP that can like access my browser when I'm already accessing it through a website, so there's going to be this weird online, offline, local, non-local thing that's going to have to kind of get figured out.
That I mean, for the nerds out there, do we think that MCP, it was something it literally was released by Anthropic in November 2024, December, January, February, March, April, May.
Right.
So it's 6 months old.
6 months.
But 6 months old is, and we're talking about a technology that could be just as impactful as HTTP.
Right.
So is MCP, is it like, are we talking, we don't have, it's not Blu-ray versus
There's
HD,
nobody.
You know, there's nothing else right now. So
No, and I don't think there's going to be. I think everybody looks at it and goes, oh, yeah, that works. Because I was convinced there's no way that OpenAI would embrace it, right? Because again, I come from the old man Apple versus Microsoft days, right? So like everybody was cock blocking each other. Everybody was going to try to release their own things, and like, no, you're not going to do it. So the collaboration side of things was just never within my ethos growing up. So I was convinced. I'm like, there's no way that OpenAI is going to embrace this MCP. There you go. Done. Okay.
well, and but one thing that I want to touch on with MCPs is, dude, don't think you're like, if you're a company and you're building and you have a SaaS product, don't just do the list call and the get and the put call on your main data. Like the MCPs aren't. It should be an absolute mirror of what you can do with the app.
Dude, I want it for my insurance. Like I want an MCP that I can literally just go in and in this project that I've got.
But it needs to be able to do everything.
It needs to. I need to be able to list my policies. I need to be able to go pay my bill. I need to be able to do all of these things where I can just stay within the chat and I can have that kind of experience and interact with it and go back to it all the time. I have my one chat that's just my insurance, right? I've got my one that's my I don't know, whatever the fuck other bills.
Dude, guys, the future is everything. It's everything. You will not have a user interface.
Right.
The entire protocol of dealing with computers is fundamentally changed forever.
Right.
It's not going to happen with clicking around. Sorry, I'm literally a UI developer.
Right.
But that is not a thing anymore.
Yeah, the voice and chat modalities are definitely going to lead the way. However, there's always still going to be need for visual designs. Again,
there's no
in your car. Right, like that. Your car will always need to have some sort of a design aesthetic. You're not going to just be driving down the road. Hey,
well, I mean,
hey, car, how fast am I going right now? Right, like that's not.
And you're right. Like, okay, is chat the best way for me to shop for furniture?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Now it could be like you could have like a where you start doing this UI or AI generated UI where now like I ask, hey, I'm looking for a really cool couch that has mid-century modern blah 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 blah, and it's like, oh, here's a visualization of it.
Let's put it this way: the future of UI is actually probably really bright.
Yeah,
and it's probably really nuanced, but it's not coming from the go to app and click and go. It's go from chat to UI elements and go
to solve a problem, and hopefully that we can minimize clicks, and hopefully that it's very much more of just like getting us to being able to solve the exact problem at hand instead of just wasting time. The amount of time that I spend on Amazon searching for various things is way too much. Like it's a horrible experience at this point. There's just too many of them. Where if I could have a chat interface where I'm just like, hey, this is exactly what I'm looking for. You go do the legwork, and then you show it to me.
Well, you don't
drive me.
Time out. This is my number one. You just light bulb.
Okay.
So whenever I go buy something, whatever it is off Amazon, I always go Reddit first, and I find it's like I want, because when you get an umbrella, was simple. That should be a simple thing, right? Like I want an umbrella. Well, what kind of umbrella do you want? Do you want 50 umbrellas for a group, and you want the cheapest one possible that's still pretty good? That's a different umbrella than, and might be a stupid example, but like, so I might go to Reddit and be like, what's the best umbrella money can buy you, right? And then I find someone who says, you got to get this one. This one's the tightest one ever. I don't know if people say tight, but but like what I want is I want to go to my shopping experience and explain the use case of what I'm trying to do, and then it goes out to the internet and finds the real information about it. You know, I don't know. Maybe that's like but like that's how I envision it. Is like instead of typing umbrella and then searching through and be like, that one looks pretty good. I like that one. No, I want to shortcut all that shit. I want to shortcut my product research phase or whatever.
And I think that's where like the new products get is like when you're working with, like, let's create an MCP that goes and it searches Amazon, it searches Walmart, it searches, Target, it searches all of them, brings them all back and pulls it in together. Maybe it already has some of your account associated to it because it's like watch you log into the browser or something like that. There's all sorts of cool things that we'd be able to. Maybe what it ultimately this brings us is to the point where we get that, what was it, the large action model? Remember that bullshit with the rabbit R1? That maybe that's like what we ultimately are going to get to, right? Where you can have those conversations and you can have it. And that the chat interface does get you to like 95% of the way of being able to solve a whole lot of problems. And you don't need to log into your key bank and go and deal with the bullshit, right? Like, why not?
Well, and I think the memory thing that you had brought up, the open source memory.
So I was going to play that for our audience. So let's play it. It'll be some audio. And I just want to kind of I want to listen to this, and it's 2 minutes long, but I want to kind of frame the problem and then and see what we think about it.
Open Memory MCP, a memory MCP server built to work across all your MCP clients. If you have used tools like Cursor or Claude, you have probably noticed one thing. They don't share context with each other. Everything resets, no continuity, no way to track or reuse what's already happened across tools. Open Memory changes that. It's an open source memory MCP server that lets your clients store and retrieve context in real time across sessions and across tools. You can run it easily by just running these 2 commands in your terminal. Now let me show you a demo.
They're easy.
Once you run the commands, the dashboard is up and running. Using that, you can copy a simple command to install it in any of your MCP clients, including Claude Cursor or any other client. Open Memory MCP server set up on Claude. I am going to ask Claude to remember things about me from my website. Just like that, Claude has saved things in memory. Now, if I go back to the Open Memory dashboard and refresh, you can see all the memories getting populated. These are created by the source app, which is Claude. You also see memories automatically categorized. You can see all the apps registered on Open Memory. Right now, we have 2 apps registered.
Okay.
I am super excited.
That is something.
Yeah. So I've been for a long time, saying that you should be able to bring your memories to your different AI providers. That is going to be kind of a quintessential thing when it comes to how we interact with AI. And I should be able to stuff a bunch of memories into this thing. So and the fact that they've launched Open Memories launched as an open source solution that you're literally just running on your computer is chef's kiss.
What my first reaction to this is after listening to that for almost all the way through? Man, Apple fumbled the fucking AI bag so bad.
Oh my God. Do not get me even started on how. So, okay. Sorry.
They should have built that a long time ago.
Apple has shit the bed so unbelievably bad. So
I finally sold my Apple stock. So
good.
Let's fuck these guys.
Okay, good. Okay. So here's the situation is I'm up in the bedroom and I say, hey, what's the temperature? And it's like, well, it's ranging from 68 to 70. And I'm like, no, that's the inside temperature. What's going to be the outside temperature? And it shows me on the screen. Doesn't say it out loud. I don't have my glasses on. I can't actually see the screen. Could you just tell me verbally what the temperature is outside? Sorry, I can't do that. And I'm like, and I literally lose my shit. My wife's like, what the hell is going on? I'm upstairs naked in the shower, just screaming at this damn thing because it won't just tell me what the fucking temperature is going to be. The experiences that I'm having with Apple now over and over and over again are horrible. The experiences that things that, again, just when Johnny Ives said, we pay attention to you pay attention to the unobvious, obsessive attention to the unobvious. That's it. And it's gone, man. And for the first times, I'm like, is there something better that I can start using that's more reliable? The AI is a fucking joke. Like Siri is the stupidest fucking thing.
And for them, based off of what they're doing, I mean, so I don't know.
They fired him.
They fired whoever was leading the Siri team. Mm-hmm. They brought in who was working on the Vision Pro to lead that team.
Okay.
And but here's my thing. It comes back to what I said at the beginning of this podcast. There's a group of people that can't move on. Right? From where they were.
Right.
They can't change. Apple built an ecosystem that is it's like an impenetrable fortress, right? And the walls are so high.
Yeah.
But they didn't realize that people would learn to fly. Do you know what I mean?
Totally, dude.
I'm
so disappointed.
They built this whole fucking thing. Right? But they didn't realize that eventually it wasn't even going to need to exist.
No, it's so bad. It's so embarrassing for a $3 trillion company to have like the shittiest assistant in the history of assistants.
I mean, for them to build the AI memory piece that are shared across, they could have built that into Mac OS.
Exactly.
They could have enforced Cursor.
Right.
They could have forced ChatGPT. They could have forced a browser API. They could have secured it. You know what I mean? They could have owned your AI memories, and they don't.
Nope. No, we got Genmoji, which is like the worst image generator.
Dude, an image playground.
It's so bad.
Dude, it's bad.
So bad.
I think the other day I tried to make a Genmoji that was just like me surprised. Very simple. It was just a picture of me, and I said, "Make me surprised."
Yeah.
And it just couldn't figure out what the hell I was trying to
But you know
ask
what?
it to
Image
do.
Playground has a great. Genmoji has a great UI.
It's no, but
Yeah.
but that's
Image Playground has a great UI, but they couldn't figure out how to
No.
make it. They couldn't figure out AI.
But that's the problem is that Apple's great at the UI, but it's the underlying operations that they just continually shit the bed on. I mean, the difference between what OpenAI's the GPT image one, which is their new one that you get when you actually interact with it, like through the chat. The quality of those image generated is I mean, it's not even it's not there's no competition. However, I will say Flux is a phenomenal, and it's an open source one. So Flux is an open source image generator. I've actually am using Flux for all of the stuff that I'm generating right now for furniture and creative stuff, and it's amazing.
What do you run it on?
I actually use Black Forest API. Yeah, so I just said, you know what, I'm not going to run this locally because it's too slow. Like even on my BFS, Mac Studio, I'm just like, it's going to take too long. So when you do it through the API, you're paying. I think you're paying like basically 3 cents per image, something like that. But the quality that you can get, I find it's actually even way better than it's. I think it's on point with Midjourney, if not a little bit better than Midjourney. And the details you can kind of there's this look that you get with the new GPT 4.0 model that it just like everything looks a little plasticky, where you don't get that with Flux at all. But at the same time, with this new Chat GPT model, you give it a photo of your house, dude. So if we went, I took a photo of our house and I said, what would my house look like if we went with black windows and black trim and a little bit darker paint, dude?
This is the first. Yeah.
It was just, my wife was like, oh my God.
Brandon, this is the first use case I tried to use with the. I was so disappointed because you remember we were trying to do avatars and we were trying to do shit like that. But I was like, my whole family does construction. I was like, oh my God, people always want to know what is it going to look like. So I tried to say, hey, what would my house look like painted this, or what would my floors look like with hardwood instead of this? And they just weren't very good.
Really?
Right? Even if before.
Okay.
Now they
But
now they
through,
yeah. And like you couldn't even get it to imagine before. This is how far it's come. You couldn't even say like I want a mid-century modern house with this. You give it a couple of details and it just like barely ever came back with anything good. Right. So it's so much better.
I wonder how it's come so far lately. Something changed.
So I think what I think we're seeing here is we're seeing a lot of the learning that they got from Sora and the video production side of things. They've really reimagined kind of how you actually do image generation based on the things that they've learned there. There's like this patch concept that they use. Like it's not like a diffuse model. I won't even pretend to understand like the details of that. It seems like they're kind of applying the same principles.
Have you used that? Have you used Sora too?
Yeah, so I did the one like where we have we had the cheese walking across the street or whatever it was. I mean, it's fine. Like I've not been like, there hasn't been, the only things that have video size that has really blown me away are these baby videos that we were talking about, right?
What were the baby videos?
So the way that it works is, if you guys haven't seen it, just search like what's his name? The dude from the South, the comedian. He was part of the Joe Rogan's little crew.
I know you're talking about the mullet dude.
The mullet guy.
Whatever that was.
Fuck, what is his name? Why can't I think? Theo Vaughn.
Dude, I've never watched that dude. Everyone talks about him. I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, so search Theo Vaughn baby podcast. And what happens though is you can take basically like if you would take a photo of me right now, you take a little screenshot of me talking. I want you to take that, you go paste it into ChatGPT and say, hey, generate this guy as a baby. And then you're going to take that photo of me as a baby, and then you're going to go to use another that does like a video, a photo to video, where you upload a sound, you upload a video, and then it basically generates a video from it. But these things are fucking hilarious. And then these people are combining them. They're like, using DaVinci Resolve or photo, whatever they're using to piece them together into like a full little mini podcast. And you have these babies. So they have the one where it's like Bobby Lee and Andrew Schultz, not Ant Schultz, but Andrew, the redhead guy, where they're talking about like, dogs speak English, and dogs know the language that you speak. So like dogs in Mexico have like, they speak Spanish, and he's like, well, what does that sound like? Bow wow, man. And but these babies doing it, dude. It's so fucking funny. But like Sora for me, it was just kind of like a letdown. Like, I mean, like a lot of the stuff that I saw was really cool. I just never could get to a point where I was producing anything that like.
What about the new one they just dropped?
I haven't played with
Okay,
it.
the new one's damn good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a new version of Sora?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, is that the Google one? What's the
No, Sora's was OpenAI's.
Okay.
So Gemini just released a video one, right?
What's it called? Oh my gosh. But yeah, that one's really good.
Is it? Okay.
Oh yeah, it creates like 9-second clips, and they're great. Amazing
Right.
text to video. Yeah.
And that's through Gemini, though. So Sora, Suno, which was the music one
Oh,
that we
yeah.
played around with,
Yeah.
they've released a new one where they can do like up to, I think, like 8-minute songs now.
I thought they were the best.
Oh,
thing.
they're still the best for
Yeah.
sure.
I had so much fun when that first came out.
Yeah, right.
Suno. God, all these.
I know that's you.
Suno, I would just anytime I had an idea for a song, like one time the Pacers won, and I was like, I think they beat the Knicks or something. So I was like, create a song about Reggie beating the Knicks and make it country themed and blah blah blah. It was so much fun. Like it takes like 2 seconds. I'm just like, oh, this is great.
Birthday
Song specific, and then you rip on the people in the middle of the song a little bit. Oh yeah,
You're right.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Well, music is very predictable when you actually get into it. Like almost all Taylor Swift songs are the same chord progression
Right.
and the same voice, like dynamics. So I think music was the low hanging fruit, especially the way that we consume music, which is very, very
Just machine.
very basic.
Right. Yeah. Just follows a very specific.
Boopity 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 boop 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 and a guitar. You know, it's not. We're not talking Beethoven out here. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, I love this song. You know.
I love those dudes who get up there and they're like, yeah, you can play pretty much every single pop song that has ever existed for the last 50 years using the same 3 chords or 4 chords or whatever it is, that same chord progression. And then they just start it and they hit it all the way from like the 70s all the way up to the, to 2000s. And all the songs can pretty much be played with the same exact rhythm and beat and kind of progression.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the future of AI is finally like here or coming, where we've been doing this for 2 years now.
Crazy.
And when we first started talking about it, we were just so crazily surprised that you could get a prompt response from ChatGPT, like and it kind of was quick,
Right.
And I think now the last thing I wanted to hit on, last topic was AI is now to the point where it can basically instantly recognize everything that it's given, right, in real time. It's becoming embedded into our systems. Like I watched a video. I showed Jacob a video. It was this dude running a local, what was it? What's that code? What's the AI, like open source AI website?
Llama.
No, it's the website where you put all your stuff, all your models and stuff.
Hugging Face.
Hugging Face. So he had a Hugging Face thing, and it was just a webcam, and he was just like really quickly throwing things into the webcam. Did you see that?
Yeah, it identifies
in
it.
real time. It was
Right.
identifying it, and the longer it stayed there, the more precise the reading got.
And it's all in the browser.
And
It's all in the browser.
It was all on his computer. There was no servers. There was no ChatGPT, and it was recognizing all this stuff in real time.
Yeah.
And it's just like there is now this concept of this powerhouse that's just sitting there, and now it's like a I don't know, like when Neo in the Matrix, it starts to take him over and it like gets down his throat, towards the end, and he's like, no, get rid of it. That's what AI is doing. It's bleeding into everything that we're doing,
Right.
but at the same time also embedding its capabilities into distributed places like your computer, your iPad, servers, whatever. But it's getting to the point where it's real time.
Right. Yeah. The intelligence, like the portability of intelligence is going to be very exciting for the next 10 years, right? Like the QWQ, which is a new model.
I'm writing that down.
So QWQ came out, very capable model, runs on Llama, is a reasoning model. So it's going to do some thinking, where they're saying that it's competitive to s03 Mini. And this thing runs fairly lightweight on your computers. Like I think it would run on pretty much any Mac M series chip. Those types of things where like intelligence is going to be able to be embedded into everything is going to be really fucking cool.
I agree. And like, what do you guys think, like application wise? Like, so my head starts spinning of like, well, of course, accessibility, like someone who's blind or hard of or can't see,
Right.
you got the something that's powerful enough, that's low power enough that you can have a camera that says you're looking at a computer. You're looking at it.
Have you seen? Okay, so there was the demo of the new glasses that came out from the Gemini. I think it was Gemini.
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
Oh my god, the demo that they gave was just insane. So this chick's wearing these glasses, just walking around having a conversation. So she's like blah 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 blah, and she's like, "Oh hey Gemini, where did I leave my wallet?"
Oh,
And this was like 3, 4, 5 minutes later.
right.
And it was like, oh, you left it over there by the fence that had the blah, 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 whatever. Like it knew, like it's keeping context of the video stream where she can then ask questions about things, where things were. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
That would save me about a billion hours.
Dude,
'Cause
so
when I'm working on something, I will leave a hammer
Exactly.
somewhere, and then I'll be like,
What
let
the
me
hell?
spend the next 10 minutes finding the hammer.
Where did my X-Acto knife go? I lose my X-Acto
You
knife
know,
all the time.
my mom always used to say this when I was a kid.
Keep track of your hammer.
Keep track of your hammers.
Pay attention where you stick your hammer.
Keep your pants on straight. Don't bring your son to a baseball game with his pants on backwards and not buttoned. Or wait, that was me last week. No, she said, see things to do.
See things to do.
That's what AI is coming for.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to be like, hey, dumbass, put the clothes in the hamper. You are inefficient. You are being an inefficient person. You left the hammer. You've got 45 minutes before you got to do this. You got a pound of ground beef in the refrigerator.
My gosh.
Like, get to work.
That's what I want. I yearn.
Tell me what to do.
No, I yearn for like, okay, I want to meal prep. This is a perfect example, but I buy all my meat at Costco. I throw it in the freezer.
Right.
And I know that part of it's just discipline, like set an alarm for Sunday night to like get the meats out that you want out. But sometimes I get busy, or Monday or Sunday night we go out to dinner or whatever. And like, it'd be nice if something new that's like,
okay, this is going to happen. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. On the enterprise, we had the computer. Hey, computer, what's blah, 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 right?
Right.
We already have it kind of. If Siri wasn't a stupid shit bag, she would be able to help you with this kind of stuff. She would be able to know that it's time for you to be making dinner and that you were thinking about making, the beef stroganoff and that your beef is still frozen because it's connected to the refrigerator. I think all of that's going to happen once Apple gets her out of their ass.
Google.
Google's going to do it. And I'm going to have to get a fucking Samsung phone. Damn it.
No one's going to be happy, but
No.
it'll be what it is.
Google.
Google.
Just can't find my Google Drive files, though.
Oh,
Never could.
part of it
sucks so bad.
Part of it is just organization. Like I think their UI is
It's
horrible.
so bad. So bad. They suck so bad at the UI stuff.
It's getting better. They're creating new ways to
After like fucking 40 years, they're getting better at their UI, but it still sucks.
Think about how they could have easily crushed Slack from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Remember GChat?
Oh my god.
Like, hey, GChat, this is cool. Everyone wants to talk to each other. Let's never, ever build a single other feature and then retire it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
We only had 50 million users on it. That's just not enough.
Yeah, I'm always questioning how companies like Google don't beat the Dropboxes of the world, and I think part of it is like it's hard if you're like this huge entity to act like
You can't,
Dropbox.
because you can't. You literally can't invest in something that's not going to drive 100 million users. And if you can't do 100 million users, it's not worth it to them.
Yeah.
But to Dropbox, 1 million users is fucking worth it. And then all of a sudden that turns to 10. All of a sudden that turns to 15.
Hey, wait. Hold on. I just got a text message. My Dropbox storage
Stop
is out, and I
everything.
need to upgrade for the 70,000th fucking time.
Right.
I churned off your platform 6 years ago. Quit asking.
Speaking of which, we need to do that with our BigCheese Google Drive.
Well, I love the quote, and I really think it's true. I mean, we're talking about, I just wrote a few notes from kind of what we covered today, but AI, you got to look to the future. AI is the operating system. If it's not, you need to make it. Right. You need to get there. You can't be a laggard anymore. You just can't. No. It doesn't mean that AI does everything. It doesn't. So sorry.
Makes you a superpower.
Get that out of here. AI go-to-market. AI first go-to-market strategies. AI will generate more leads for your SaaS business than humans in the future. And then really the I think the even further look into the future is the democratization of knowledge inside of embedded platforms in that distribution of intelligence, right? That the portability of intelligence is a great quote, because you're just going to ship knowledge everywhere. I mean, you're the camera that's watching over your house is going to have access to the internet, and hopefully it doesn't get radicalized on Twitter. I mean, that's our hope.
Fucking hell.
But
MAGA.
think about all this stuff. Think about the future. If you have any comments about what you think the future of the world looks like in AI, don't tell me about people losing their jobs, because I already know that's going to happen.
Right.
But that's not creative. Let's find creative ways to make the world better.
Yep.
Right, and make ourselves better. So with that, it's been another episode of the Big Cheese Podcast. Signing off. We'll see you guys next week.